Well, hi, everyone, and welcome back to Make Our World Your Runway. You know, this is the show that interviews the most fascinating individuals from the world of pageantry, modeling, fashion, beauty, and even the entertainment industry. We have a phenomenal guest today. I mean, you are really going to be wowed by her. She has just written a book. She's absolutely amazing. And she just won the title of Miss International World 2023-24. But before that, we always like to make a few announcements to all our viewers. And we want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Global Trade Chamber YouTube channel so that you can see all the shows from Make Our World Your Runway and Success Stories. And I highly recommend that you also tune into Success Stories. You're going to see some amazing, amazing women that have come from humble beginnings and have worked themselves up to be an amazing entrepreneurs, and at the same time have done wonderful things with community service. So once again, remember to subscribe to the Global Trade Chamber YouTube channel so that you can view success stories and Make Our World Your Runway. And also remember, Volume 2 of the 100 Most Successful Women in Business book is now available on Amazon. If you are a successful woman, you will definitely want to order your copy today. So remember to go to the website at www.100swb.com for all the information. And stay tuned because Volume 3 is going to be coming out in 2024. And again, if you are a successful woman, you will definitely want to get yourself in this book. The stories in there are amazing. The women from humble beginnings, working themselves up to great entrepreneurs and doing wonderful things in the community. So I highly recommend that you do pick up the copy of 100 Successful Women in Business Volume 2. And of course, also go to the website because you will want to see some of the road shows that are going to be taking place in 2024. We have a great one coming up in March in Miami. Again, you will meet women from the United States and the world. It's a great opportunity. If you are a business person, you definitely want to attend. So once again, the website, www.100swb.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as I always like to say, lights, camera, action. It's Make Our World Your Runway. And today, as I said, we have a phenomenal guest. She just won the title of Miss International World 2023. She's also has written a book. She's absolutely phenomenal. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, please welcome to Make Our World Your Runway, Terace Garnier, Miss International World. Welcome, Terace. Hey there, Miss Terace.
Hi.
Congratulations again on winning the title of Miss International World 2023. That crown looks amazing on you. You look great today.
Thank you. Thank you. So do you. So do you.
Well, thanks. So how did it feel when your name was called out on stage?
Well, first and foremost, before my name was called, I was literally on the stage. I did not expect for me to be called. So the whole time I was there, I'm like, who are they going to call? I'm like, oh, I can't wait until they say whoever it is so I can run over and give her the biggest hug, right? So that was like what was going through my mind. And then when you said you walked up, you're like, okay, it's time for us to announce who Miss International World will be. And then you said, all I got to say is this is a great day for the armed services. And I remember looking to my right and everyone was like, ah! And they were looking at me and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I was so confused. I was like, wait, what? And then you're like, Terace, I'm like, oh, snap. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so I walked over and I was just filled with so much emotions. Like I was just excited, happy, humbled, honored. There was just so many emotions going through. I think a lot of it was shock too, because I was not expecting that whatsoever. So I was trying, to kind of combat those different emotions. And so like I did an interview yesterday and I told them, I said, yeah, when I went to take the photos, I kind of looked like I was like this, because I was trying not to cry. So a lot of the photos I was looking a little crazy. So I'm like, yeah, let's not publish or post those photos anywhere because that look isn't a good look. But we got Carlos got some really great ones where I was smiling and I didn't look like I was crying, but I was trying to hold it all in. So it was just fantastic.
Yeah, I know. It's always that fantastic moment. And, I always say just before, when the scores are tabulated, okay, well, the judges' scores are tabulated, and I have that envelope or I have that sheet, I always say it's the part I hate because I knew I had about 24 women standing behind me and I had to give out 8 titles, okay? And I always say everybody is a winner, and I know it's that everybody's dying to get out there, and everybody's adrenaline is running high because, okay, is it me? Is it the person next to me? You really don't know.
Right.
And of course, I know what's coming about because I've got the sheet in my hand and I'm going to announce it.
Right.
But uh, when when we went through the scores, okay, and I came in the room and I said, okay, who's the winner? And they said to me, Terace. And I said, well, you know what? I said, it does not surprise me. Okay. And that's why I said it's a great day. I said for the armed forces, because that's how I knew that you would get it, that you actually won. Had I
Yeah.
just announced your name, I don't know if you would have been in shock or not. But when I said that, I knew that was going to be the hook to tell
Yeah.
you had won the title.
It was. It definitely was. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so just to be able to represent all the veterans in the country and, those who have served, that was just beautiful, and also my Native tribe. So, representing veterans and Native Americans, it was a beautiful moment. It really was.
And when we did the parade of costumes and you came out in your uniform, the first thing Al said to me, shucks. He said, I still have mine, but it doesn't fit. I said, well, you got one or two choices. I said, either slim down to the weight you were. I said, when you wore the uniform, I said, well, go have it taken out. I said, one of the two. I said, wear it for Veterans Day. But and that brought back a lot of memories for him because, and he said, if he had his life to live over again, he would have stayed in the Air Force
Right.
because he was offered the Air Force Academy. I said,
Oh,
are you crazy? I said, and you didn't stay in? I
right.
said, if I would have known you back then, I said, I would have told you, don't worry about anything. Just stay in. Okay. But he always says, no, he said, believe it or not, he said those 4 years, that was a great time for him. He was
Mhm.
able to travel the world. He was in Belgium. He was in Paris. So he had no complaints for the 4 years that he was in the Air Force.
And a lot of airmen don't get great duty stations like that, especially during May. You have to serve 4, and then the next 4 maybe get some great duty stations. So the fact that he was able to get so many awesome places to be stationed at, I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, I know both my cousins were jealous because they wanted to know how we got Shape headquarters in Belgium. In fact, when he went there, that was the officers club. And
Wow.
when he went there, he said, look, I think they made a mistake. He said, I don't think I belong here. And they said, oh no, there's no mistake. They
Mhm.
said, Airman, we've got you. I said, Airman Posillico, we've got you registered here. He's like, you got to be kidding. He doesn't even know how we got there. The only thing he could think of was that because he had that top secret clearance and he was in the telecoms communication end. That's the only reason why he figured he got there. But he said it's normally you don't get that unless you're a ranking officer. And both my cousins, they were in at the same time. They were jealous. They said, I don't believe this. How did you get in there?
And he was definitely
So
lucky. For
yeah, he did. He just happened to strike it very lucky. That's why now he hits himself in the head every day. He said, I was lucky. He said, and to get the Air Force Academy, really lucky. He said, I was a dummy. He said, I should have taken it. I said, well, if you had your life to live over. So if I had my life to live over, he said, believe me, no questions asked. He said, I would have definitely stayed in. So, but you know what? You live and learn, right?
Well, he got some great opportunities. From my understanding, he got to work directly with the president. So even though he didn't stay in, he still got some amazing opportunities, which may not have happened had he stayed in. So
Exactly. Oh, yeah, he's had a lot of opportunities. In fact, you hear Lamont says, I do this on television. He said, and in the movies, he said, this guy does it for real. I said, yes, he does. I said, he does do it for real. I said, I don't know how, but he does do it for real. I said, he got that, he got 2 major jobs. I said, in New York City. I said, so you know what? I said, he does have a resume. And he
yes,
said, yeah. He said, if he does it for real, he said, look, that's all the more the better. And how about Lamont subbing in for President Obama? Was that something else?
that was amazing. I mean, that what a phenomenal opportunity. I mean, literally, he can say, "Yeah, I was Obama." Like he can literally go around saying that, and people look at him. He's like, "No, literally, in this, see this, watch this. Yeah, that's me playing Obama." And he got to
Exactly.
meet him.
Exactly. And I didn't catch it in the beginning. I saw it online and I was saying, wait a minute, is this Lamont that went in there, was his double? And then when Lamont mentioned it at the pageant, I said, son of a gun. No wonder why my phone was ringing. I had
Yep.
people calling me up and asking me, you got the former president hosting your event? I said, wait a minute, where's this coming from? And then I realized it was Lamont. I said,
Yeah.
"Oh God!" I said, "You know, between that and us going live, and I know there's a lot we can't mention, but just the fact we had TLC there, it was like I'll tell you, it got overwhelming. I was like, you know, you could. It's like I was almost in a Hollywood production. You know, you could do this all your life and never all of a sudden you roll into something. It's like everything just fell into place. So I was real happy about that. But I do want to discuss your book now that you're on the show. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that book is going to be a bestseller.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's get into existence. I
Yeah,
love it.
I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to purchase that book. Okay, I think it's going to be absolutely amazing, and I know there's a reason why you wrote it. So tell us why you wrote that book.
So thank you so much for the compliments. I'm really excited. I actually just started the pre-launch a couple of days ago of my memoir. It's called No Longer Silent. And at this point in time, people can get it, the ebook version of it to get on Veterans Day, because the actual paperback and the hardcover will be coming out on Veterans Day. But I made it available for those who like ebooks. They have the opportunity to get it now and actually have it on Veterans Day. And so the reason why I wrote the book was, one, it's a memoir about overcoming trauma. So I had a lot of childhood trauma that I had to overcome. And then while I was in the military, I was also assaulted while I was serving. And so for me, once the pandemic hit, I started reflecting on life and just kind of wanting to do some work on myself to help myself heal. And I go to counseling. And so I talked to my counselor and I said, I want to kind of deep dive into a lot of the childhood stuff that I had that had happened to me, because I do feel it's impacting my current day me, but I don't know how. And so as we're doing that deep dive, I'm journaling and writing everything down, and I started writing my book. I was about almost done with the book when the incident with Vanessa Guillen happened, where she tragically lost her life at Fort Hood. She was a
Wow.
soldier stationed there, and she had reported a few times that she was being assaulted and harassed. And then she ended up being murdered by the person who was harassing her. And so when that happened, then, as a news reporter, I was covering these kinds of stories. I
Yeah.
started noticing there was a lot of instances, especially at like Fort Hood, of people reporting assaults and then they would die mysteriously. And so I said, you know what, this is unacceptable and I need to start speaking up about this. And so I went to the Pentagon. I questioned Lloyd Austin and Kathleen Hicks about what they're doing to change how the military investigates these situations. What are they doing to help people or encourage them to report when they're assaulted? And some of the changes they made are phenomenal. I went on national television and talked about my experience and how much myself and other survivors were so grateful for the changes that they are making, because, the number one thing is wanting to be heard and feeling like when you do report it that you won't be retaliated against.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I had experienced while I was in the military. And so the book goes into those traumas that I had to overcome. And then it also gives advice to those who are survivors themselves. They may have been, traumatized as a child, as a teenager, men, women. It happens to a variation of different people's backgrounds, ethnicities, religions. And so I'm hoping with my book that I'll be able to reach out to them and let them know, I hear you. I understand
Yes.
you, and you are not alone. It is not your fault. You should not be ashamed about something that happened to you, and you can heal from it. You just got to put in some work. It's not going to happen overnight, but you do have to put in work to get that healing. But it's so worth it, because once you take your power back, whoever harmed you before, they no longer have control over you or your life. But while you're living with that trauma in you and not dealing with it, they're still controlling you, whether you realize it or not. And so I made that determination that, when I was 5 years old to 7 years old, what happened to me, I could not help or control that. It was an adult doing some very inappropriate things. I said, but I'm an adult now. So when I got assaulted in the military, I was an adult. And I said, you know what? I couldn't help what happened to me as a child, but I can help myself now. And I'm going to stand up for myself. And not only myself, but other women that this could happen to. And from my understanding, the person that assaulted me in the military had did it to others. So my thing was, this has got to stop. So I wrote the book, and I'm hoping that a lot of people will be able to read it, heal from it. And if they haven't had an incident happen to them, It will educate them. If you're an uncle, a mom, a cousin, you got young children around, nieces,
Right.
nephews, siblings. This could be happening to them. How do you know? These are the signs. What do you ask them? What don't you ask them? How do you help them?
Right.
What do you do to protect yourself if it happens? So it
Yeah.
goes into a lot of those aspects.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny you should say that, because Al did mention that to me. He said, Angela, he said, what Terace is saying is true. He said, a lot of that does happen in the military. And, I think it was a wake up call for me, because I said, I've always heard women being victims of domestic violence and, things like that. But I was unaware that this was actually happening in the military. Okay. And you've actually brought that to light. And like you said, Lloyd Austin and them, they are making some fantastic changes. But Al said, no, he said, I did see, he said, maybe I should have spoken out. He's because I knew a few women that were assaulted. He says, going back during the time frame that I was in the military. So it's good that you wrote a book like that, because again, someone like me, all right, I would have never fathomed that in the military this could actually happen.
Oh yeah, and it was happening a lot. I remember after Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin started making these changes, they had released a report, and I believe, if I recall correctly, they said the reporting had went up 400%. 400%. People were now reporting this, and that's how much it was happening, because people were scared to report it before. Retaliation is a huge thing. As you know, you're married to a service member. When you move to other countries, that your unit is your family, other than who you bring with you. So that is your life. If something happens and people exclude you, that's like a death sentence. It's exile. Like, you have to go to work. These people are ignoring you. They won't talk to you. Social events, no one wants anything to do with you. The rumor mill spreads. They start blaming you, accusing you, and it's very toxic. And so, I'm really hoping that with this book, this will start to show people and help them understand that this kind of thing happens. People are hiding it because they're ashamed and they're scared, and they shouldn't have to be. It was something that happened to them. How many times do you hear of someone who gets mugged and people come up to them and they say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? But you'll have someone get assaulted and they'll go, well, what were you drinking? What were you wearing?
Yeah.
What were you at? Happened? And it's like instantaneous. Someone got mugged, they're being assaulted, but people understand that. But if you say I was sexually assaulted, instantly it's your fault. Why did you put yourself in that position to be assaulted? And that's a lot of mindset that people have.
I've heard that. Yeah, it's true. If a woman gets sexually assaulted, oh, it's your fault. But if you get mugged, it's not.
So
yeah, exactly.
It's definitely a very important topic, but I don't want anyone to feel alienated or feel, because another thing that I've heard a lot lately, especially since I've come out with my book, is, they feel those are things that are private, that should be discussed in private, that should be kind of hush hush, kept behind closed doors. And for me, that's why it keeps continuing, because people aren't talking about it. When I was assaulted as a child, the man that raped me told me, you can tell whoever you want, no one's going to believe you. And he was right. No one.
Back then, no one did. That's very true. No one would believe. It's just like when you think about it, mental health. Years ago, mental health was not even recognized. Okay. And there were people that were, okay, today it's more prevalent because you see all these shootings going on, and mass shootings and things like that. But they didn't realize that even back then, there were mental health issues. Now, today, it's more prevalent, and they are trying to do something, because, you never know what goes on in a person's life and how a person is going to accept the trauma. Some person are very strong in their mind. If you punch them, they'd say, okay, I took a punch, and they move on. But not everybody's like that, okay? So you have to be cognizant almost of what's going on around you. All right. So now I think more and more people, just like you said, if someone was raped, they couldn't talk about it even 10 years ago. Okay. Now it's starting to come out. Mental health. Oh, if you tried to talk about it, the first thing they'd say is you're crazy or this or that. Person may not be crazy, but you don't know what's going on inside that's causing that problem. Okay. Today you got a lot of suicides. Why? I mean, look at that girl that was Miss USA. She jumped off her building in New York City. No one knows why. She was suffering from something, okay, and couldn't. or didn't tell anybody, okay, didn't try to reach out. And you would say, why did a girl that won USA and went to Miss Universe and then threw herself off the balcony of a building? What was that all about? And there was no foul play. They proved it was no foul play, okay? So what you're saying is correct, because now I think with a book like what you've got, more and more women will come out and speak about it. And then on the other side, there's people writing books about mental health, and more people are coming out about that. And it is being recognized, okay? So it's essential for somebody like you to have come out with something like this. That's why I say it's going to be a bestseller.
Thank you. And I just, whenever I tell people my story, the first thing they say to me is, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I tell them, you know what? Please don't be sorry, because as horrible as it was, the things that I went through, God allowed it to happen because he knew I would survive it. He knew I would heal from it. And he knew I would take all that pain that I suffered and turn it into something good, in the sense that I'm going to help other people who are going through it.
Right.
Other people. I don't want people like, Miss USA, who just took her own life, suffering in silence.
Yeah.
I don't want people to have to do that, because there are others who have gone through it, like myself. And I want to hear people's stories. I want to acknowledge what happened to them and let them know they're heard, you're understood. It's not your fault. And you are not alone in this fight. That's why the commercial that I made, it said, "I'm a new kind of warrior, and I'm trying to build my army
Yes.
of survivors." Because I feel like we are no longer going to be silent about this. If it happens, it's going to be addressed, because the longer we stay quiet about it, the longer these people are able to run around and keep doing what they're doing. And so, I just feel so blessed that I've been able to have the strength to write a book and come out, about my entire situation, because in my book, it's very detailed. And I was very specific about that, because I want people, and I didn't even put all the instances of assaults that I've dealt with. I only put a few in there. If I put all of them, people probably wouldn't read the book, because they'd be like, what in the world? Right? It would just be too much. But the point I was trying to make in the book was, I was able to overcome some of these really horrible things. And if I can, you can too. This is what I did. So maybe you should try it too. So that's
Exactly.
for it.
Exactly. I agree with that 100%. And by you taking that step forward and speaking about it, I think a lot more women, when they read that book, you're going to see a lot more women come out with their stories. Okay. Because there's still women out there that will not talk about what has happened. Okay.
Right.
They're either embarrassed or they feel no one is going to listen. And
Mhm.
today, with the Me Too movement, you'd be surprised the women that will listen. Okay. More and more women today are becoming entrepreneurs. They're growing. I mean, you take 10, 20, 30 years ago, women were still not that prevalent in the workforce. Look at it today. Look at General Motors. Okay. It's a woman who's the CEO. You wouldn't have heard of that 30 years ago. Okay. It was that song that came out. It's a man's world, but it would be nothing without a woman. I've changed it around. I said, no, it's a woman's world. I said, whether you think so or not. And there's a lot of women out there that can do the job just like a man can. All right. And they always say, oh, well, we won't have a woman president. Well, one of these days, you're going to see a woman president of the United States. Hey, we got we got a woman vice president, and they say, oh, well, a woman be dangerous as a president. I said, really? Why? Well, emotions. I said, yeah. I said, men don't have emotions. I
How
said,
many
you
wars were started by men?
exactly. So, I mean, look at all the other countries that have had women that have actually been prime ministers or presidents. So, I said, look, we got a woman vice president. One of these days, you're going to see a woman president of the United States. It's going to happen. It may not happen in this lifetime, but it is definitely going to happen. But I say sooner than later.
I agree. I totally agree. And
I say sooner or later. Hey, you might see a woman that's head of the armed forces. Okay. What was it last year in the Super Bowl? One of the teams, it was a woman who was the head coach.
oh
And they were
yes,
like, yeah. Oh, that's a man's job. I said, really? Why? Give
right.
me one reason why that's a man's job. I shut up a lot of mouths because nobody could give me an answer.
I
There you go.
get that
I
you
said,
question it.
yeah, I've seen women out there digging ditches. I said,
Mhm.
hey, we can get our hands dirty. I said, that's why I made that statement yesterday when I said so many people are misconstrued about the world of pageantry. They
Right.
think women just go into these things because, oh, okay, I want to put on a bathing suit and I want to parade in a gown. Look, you're going to show outer beauty. Okay. That's the reason why it is called a beauty pageant. But look at the inner beauty of all these women. Look at the intelligence of all these women. That's why we have the interviews. That's why we have the videos where you can go and express yourself. Okay. And you're expressing yourself in a different light. So now we get to see the intelligent side as well as the beauty side. All right. And, again, like I said, so many people don't misunderstand pageantry. They think, oh, you're just exploiting women. No, we're trying to bring out the positive side of women.
Yes, yes, and help empower them. I mean, just like
Exactly.
you're promoting our platforms, you're helping us pursue our dreams as we're trying to help our communities. I mean, that's empowering. How is that? There's no way that's exploitation by any means. Like, that's paying it forward. That's making sure that other women are successful, so that way they can help other women be successful. And then it just starts this chain reaction of where you're continually paying this forward, and women are looking after each other. That's so important. Like, people don't
It
see
is. It
that.
is. I mean, how many girls in this universe went on to become in their own countries in politics, or who made movies, or who became an entrepreneur, or who went into work for community service. These women actually went out there and did these things. Okay. So, again, people have to realize that, all right, yes, we call it a beauty pageant, but look beyond that. Okay. Look at what these women have gone on to do. They've gone on to do great things. I always use Gal Gadot
Yes,
as a reference. Yeah, she went into Miss Universe. She didn't win, but there were producers sitting out in the audience. She became Wonder Woman. She made her mark as Wonder Woman. She made that fabulous movie, Death on the Nile. She's done commercials. Now she's making a movie about Cleopatra. She's done some fantastic things. Okay.
yes.
The other night, I was watching an old rerun of Candid Camera, and they had Bess Myerson on. Bess Myerson was Miss America. She was from New York, and she was I think they said the tallest Miss America. And she wound up on Candid Camera hosting a show. Phyllis George wound up going on CBS as a news anchor. There you are. You're involved with the news. So look what these women actually went out and did. Okay. They just didn't sit. And after they gave up the title and crowned their successor, they didn't sit on the sideline. They went out there and they did wonderful things
Exactly.
with their title. Marianne Mobley, who was a Miss America, went on to make movies in Hollywood. Okay.
You look
So
at
many of these
Oprah.
women.
Oprah was in pageants, and it's Oprah. You
That's
know,
right.
wouldn't think of that, and as well as she was a survivor as well,
Yes.
and overcame, and look what she's doing now.
Oh,
You have phenomenal women like her, Gabrielle Union, Viola Davis, all these
Viola
women
Davis.
brutalized.
Oh, yeah.
And look where they are now. They took their power back. That's what I want women to understand. You can take your power back, and not just women, because men too, because men do get assaulted as well. But
Yes.
women and men, you can take your power back if that ever happens to you. And one thing I want to also mention, pageants help you get that confidence and start learning about yourself and what makes you happy, what doesn't. It helps you set boundaries. So pageants help you in that pursuit of becoming a better version of yourself, in a sense, helping you also take your power back. If that's
Exactly. Because it's the sisterhood. And there's a lot of women out there that, like you say, that have something inside and don't know how to get it out. So this is a platform to get that out. And you'd be surprised where a lot of women will go. Okay. As I mentioned, the announcements that I make, besides my show, Make Our World Your Runway, the Global Trade Chamber has a show called Success Stories. And it's also on Amazon, the book, The 100 Most Successful Women in Business. I was in volume 1, and we launched volume 2 last year in London, England. If you read these stories, you will not want to put that book down. Okay. It truly is exactly what I say. These women come from such humble beginnings. Okay. And have worked themselves up to becoming entrepreneurs, or they're involved with community service. You'll read one incredible story after the other. So that's something we definitely have to get you in, is volume 3 of 100 Successful Women in Business. It's yeah, it's on Amazon right now. It's a great book. As I said, I was, very honored to get into volume 1. Volume 2 was just as amazing. When I was in England last year and they launched the book, I mean, incredible women that, just go to these events or come out for things like that. And you really be surprised when you sit down and listen to their stories. Now, Latina is a prime example, okay? She is a recipient of the 100 Successful Women in Business Award. Now, look
Yes.
what Latina is doing. She wants to start affordable housing for seniors,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Wow.
And if you listen to Latina, she's got a story as well, too,
She does.
all right?
Very compelling story.
Yeah. So it's incredible, okay? And that's what I'm trying to build this organization more of, is that women entrepreneurs and women getting together, okay? And you
Yes.
definitely have to come to some of the road shows. We got one coming up. I believe the first one is in March. It's coming up in March 2024. We will be in Miami at the DoubleTree. You'd be surprised, okay? The businesses that are there, the speakers. We actually have speakers at these events. I learned so much for some of these women coming in and speaking about their businesses. I
Mhm.
said, where have I been? you know, because you can always learn something new. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, sometimes you can.
Yes,
All
you
right.
can. Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
you
You have to
definitely
be, you have to be in that mindset to want to learn new things. That's the difference. So
yeah,
when you're going to these different events, you're going specifically because you want to learn new things. You want to meet people. You want to network. And so,
right.
that's why you're going for self-improvement. And like you said, there's
Exactly.
always something more to learn.
And
Always.
you'll definitely want to come to one of these shows because it'd be a great way for you to promote your book.
Oh, I would love to. And
Yeah,
especially if
it's
I
great.
can even talk to some of the people there, like maybe even give a speech. That way I can open it up. You'll be surprised how many people have come and told me their personal stories after hearing about mine. I actually had two gentlemen tell me their stories. And, and it broke my heart that, I mean, I was honored that they were vulnerable enough to want to open up to me and share that, because
Yes.
that does not happen very often,
No.
especially with men. So I felt honored that they trusted me with that, and the fact that they were opening up. And I'm hoping that because they kind of opened up and shared a little bit, that now
Right.
they can start healing from it. Because I feel while you're bottling all that up, you cannot heal, because it starts taking a toll on your body physically, mentally, and emotionally. You'll start getting different ailments and things like that if you keep that kind of stuff bottled up. And so I tell,
Right.
look, if you want to live a long life, you got to deal with that childhood trauma or the trauma you dealt with, because whether you realize it or not, it's a poison in your body, and it's slowly poisoning
It
you,
is.
whether you realize it or not.
It is. It definitely is. And you have to get things out. And like you said, some men have been assaulted too. Okay. I'll give you an example. Believe it or not, Al, his first marriage, his wife was very competitive. Okay, and she was a little jealous because they both had great jobs, but she was a little jealous because he always made more money. Okay, and that kind of bothered her. And I always say, I don't care if you make more money than me. It's going in the same pot. What do I care? Right. And there were times when I was in the cosmetic industry, there were times where I was rivaling his salary. And he used to say, so what? It's coming in the same household. What do we care? All right.
Right.
So I was never jealous over Al, and Al was never jealous over me. Okay. We always felt that if one person did something, it was going to benefit one of us. Okay. Either way. Even when Al met me and I was still in show business and I was performing in Phantom of the Opera. He loved it because he's a sociable person. So he had to travel with me and he was meeting this one and that one and even picked up a few clients. So he's like, why should this bother me? When my ex-husband, oh, that was taboo. Okay. He couldn't stand it because I was doing something that he couldn't do. All right. But with Al, and Al kind of likes show business as it is. Okay. I always told Al he should have been a stand-up comic. All right. And his father should have been in show business because his father had an operatic voice. So he kind of had that in him. And then he has that personality working in New York City that he loved to just get out and meet people.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it's true. There are some men out there that actually go through trauma because you're right. They can be assaulted, or a woman could be jealous over her own husband or boyfriend. It does happen. So it's
Mm,
got to be a mutual benefit for both.
exactly. Exactly. So, but it starts with having the conversation. We have
Yeah,
to
it
do
does. It
not.
does.
Mhm.
It does. And a lot of people don't want to have that conversation. There's a lot of people that just don't want to open up. A lot of people are afraid. But in today's world, the more that comes out, the better we're going to understand these things. And the better we're going to be able to help people, okay? Whether it is being assaulted, or whether it is domestic violence, or whether it is mental health. If we don't come out and try to do something, and I'm glad that Lloyd Austin has really tried to make some improvements. He seems like that kind of a person.
Yes, he really, and I feel he genuinely sees this issue and he wants to fix it. Now, granted, the changes he made, it's not going to fix the entire military overnight, right? It take a year to get to that point. It's not going to take a year to fix it. But this is a great step in the right direction. So I look forward in the next decade of seeing how well it's impacted the military, you know. And really quickly, just to piggyback off of what you said, a lot of people are scared to come out about their stories. I'm going to give you a little bit of background in my book. I had been told since I was a teenager that the man that had assaulted me as a child was dead. So in March of last year, while I was finalizing my book, I said, oh, I want to put some photos of him in it. If he's dead, I'll go find his obituary. I'll put that in there. I can put all of his information in there because he's dead. So it's not going to matter. Right. And it was like one of those little threads that you just keep pulling and you're like, I need to stop pulling this thread, but I couldn't. The journalist in me was like, nope, I need to know the truth. I need to know what happened. I had a bomb drop on me.
Wow.
Found out that the man who I thought was dead for over 10 years was alive and well. Lives in Virginia. And so when he would assault me, his daughter, and have his son watch him do it. Found out his son lives 30 minutes away from me. He's in jail for stabbing somebody to death.
Wow.
Now, my concern is I'm coming out with this book, and if he finds out I'm alive or where I live, he could easily come after me. Easily. And he's pretty crazy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did. However, for me, it's not about me. It's more important. If that happens, that's what was meant to happen. In the meantime, while I'm still here on this earth, I'm going to try to make it better than when I came into it. So I'm not going to let fear dictate how I live my life. I'm not going to let fear stop me from helping other people. I cannot live like that. And so for anyone that's fearful, I just ask them, you cannot live your life in fear. I mean, literally, I could get harmed because of this, but I'm willing to go through that because I want to help other people. I want to show them that there's strength in numbers. You can be heard, get your power back. If you speak up, people that are doing this will get put behind bars. If you don't, they will still be free to do this to other people.
You got it.
You know, I try to encourage people, please, like, you have to get over that. We just survived a pandemic. If you can survive that, I feel like you can survive a lot of other things, you know? So I'm hoping it'll help a lot of people and really encourage them. I really am.
Exactly. Well, anyway, my dear, I know we have to wrap up the show, so I want to thank you for coming on. You've given a lot of great insight. I'm telling you, that book is going to be a bestseller. Okay. We definitely have to help you promote that book. I can definitely see you on one of those world stages, you know, speaking to a group of women. And, you know, again, congratulations on winning the title of Miss International World. I know you're going to do great things for our organization. So, and as I always tell all my guests, anytime you want to come back on the show, if there's anything that you want to talk about or you want to get a word out on something, you're more than welcome. Just let me know and we'll always set you up. So again, my dear, thank you so much. I know you've always have a packed week and a packed weekend, so I want to wish you a great weekend. You know, I'm always around for anything. And tomorrow I'll be in Orlando hosting the Orlando International Fashion Show. So I will give a big shout out to everybody. But, you know, have a great weekend. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on Make Our World Your Runway.
Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you just for being such a phenomenal woman. I just love you.
Thank you, my dear. And so are you. Have a great weekend and God bless.
You too.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another fabulous guest on Make Our World Your Runway. Terace Garnier, the current reigning Miss International World 2023. And as always, we'd like to say lights, camera, action. Join us next week when we'll have another fabulous guest. So have a great weekend and we'll see you soon.